I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Now, a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, I always tell you over and over, our program is designed with you in mind to make sure that you find out about resources and services that are available in the state of Michigan and beyond. So I did a little research and came up with the organization that I knew of, or at least I thought I knew of. And I actually approached the CEO and president himself and asked him, would he come and join us to give you more insight about this wonderful program? So as you know, I always say, I don't want to keep my introduction long. I want to introduce you to the president and CEO himself, Mr. Vincent Tilford of Hanna Center.
Hey, Marcia, how are you?
Where are you at? There you are. Good afternoon. Okay. How are you?
I am well. Thanks for inviting me on your show. I'm real excited to be here.
Thank you. Now, you know what? I'm going to go over that introduction again because, not just you being the president and the CEO, I'm just so excited that you actually took my invitation because I had been tracking you down for I don't know how long. And then when I realized that there was a transitional name from Hanna House to Hanna Center, I'm like, okay, I got to get the whole scoop on this. So I am glad to have you here. So I tell you what, I want to start off with pretty much tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Tilford, and your role as the CEO and president of Hanna Center.
Well, let me start off with saying that, this has always been a passion of mine in terms of the kind of work that I do. I've always believed in working in terms of social justice arenas. And so much of my background is community and economic development kind of work. I've worked with grassroots organizations for pretty much my entire career. So being at Hannan Center, which is what we are now, really fits in with sort of, my background. Actually, I did a lot of work in Detroit's communities, helping other organizations build housing and do community and economic development work. And then I also used to run Habitat for Humanity in Detroit doing that work. So when I was out there in the community, one of the things that I kept coming across was older people living in communities where they didn't have any family or they may not have had much of a network, but they were the pillars of these communities trying to hold those communities together, and nobody was helping them. So they spoke to me, and when this opportunity came to join Hannan Center, I jumped at it. So that's kind of who I am and kind of how I got to where I am right now.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderfully put. And so let me ask you this. A lot of people will confuse Hanna Center with Hanna House. So when you took on this role, was it still Hanna House? And what was the big difference between Hanna Center and Hanna House?
Well, actually, the original name for a long time was the Luella Hannan Memorial Foundation. Mm-hmm. And Luella Hannan was a socialite. She was married to a real estate developer. They lived in Grosse Pointe. And when her husband passed, this is like back during the Great Depression. And she was watching all of her friends, older people who had lost their shirts in the stock market crash back in 1928 or 29, whenever it was. And so she took the money that she inherited from her husband. And what she said she wanted to do was to start a place where older people wouldn't have to worry about where they were going to live, where they were going to get their food, where they were going to sort of have a network to support them. And so she started the Luella Hannan Memorial Foundation. And her goal was to build a senior citizens building that would house seniors when they had no one else to turn to. So that's how the name Hannan House came to be. We actually did not build Hannan House until about 1971. Prior to that, we pretty much just sort of gave a lifetime stipend to any older person in need that came to our doors. But in 1971 is when we actually built Hannan House, which is the facility that everyone knows. People to this very day still call us Hannan House. And we haven't really been Hannan House since the early 1990s. We were a senior apartment building for about 25 years. And then after that, we became a nonprofit center where we tried to have nonprofit tenants that supported older adults, through their missions.
Okay. Okay. And I'm glad you expressed and told the story about that because I'm one of those people too that, grew up under the umbrella of Hanna House. And so and a lot of people always equate the fact that there was a restaurant in the facility. So I've been there and eaten lunch, numerous times and just enjoyed the atmosphere of having lunch amongst the seniors and seeing everybody, comfortable and full, and the food was just excellent. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think because we didn't tie in the services, we tied in the catering part, which we should have tied in the services. So now we can tie in the services, which is Hanna Center.
Yeah, that's right. Food is a social event for folks in our community. So we definitely know that that's what people remember us for. That we've had a couple of restaurants down there. All of them made terrific food, and it became a gathering place. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like it makes me think of what was that? Was the movie like Soul Food? How everybody kind of gathered over grandma's house on Sundays, and it became this big social event. And that's what people here at Hannan Center would do, or certainly did, definitely pre-pandemic. Was after they finished their classes and doing whatever they were came here to do, they all gathered down in the restaurant and broke bread.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wanted to show everybody the building because I want people to know that that's the beautiful building. Okay, so you
It
guys,
is.
yeah, are you guys pretty much a lot of office spaces?
So we don't have a lot of vacancies right now, but we do have a number of organizations here. I would say probably a third of them support older adults. So we have one of our organizations is the Association for Chinese Americans, and this branch here serves older Chinese Americans. We have
Mm-hmm.
Operation Able that works with, older people, not the at the age that Hannan works with them, but people between, say, the ages of about 40 on up, to help them to retrain, to get their resumes together, to learn new skills so that they can, get a job in this economy here. So we have an organization like that here. Plus, we have other organizations that serve the community as well.
Okay, okay, great, great. 'Cause, like when people see the building and they want to, they're not sure if they should go in and ask the questions. And I know you guys, have your front desk information person there to greet people and talk to people. Tell us about some of the services up under the umbrella of the Hanna Center.
Sure. So as I said, 1925 was actually when we were founded. So we're nearly 100 years old. In fact, we're going to be celebrating our centennial here in 2025. And throughout our entire history, our mission has always been about preserving the dignity and improving the quality of life of seniors here in Detroit and also in the surrounding communities. And we do this in a number of different ways. We have a full service social work department where we connect seniors to case management if they need it, or behavioral health programs if they need it. We connect them to programs and services that they need to remain healthy and independent. Another part of our what we do here is what we call creative aging, and so we have our creative aging and wellness classes that we call Beyond You. These classes are offered on a trimester basis, and so our next group of classes are actually going to begin in May. So if you're interested in Tai Chi, yoga, Zumba, and then we offer a lot of arts classes from, we have singing classes, performing arts classes, we have fine arts classes. A lot of the work that we do here is about art and engaging the people that come here in creative pursuits. Because our belief is that when older people, really anyone, but certainly older people, when they receive robust, rigorous arts training, that it has these wonderful health outcomes for them. Fewer
Mm-hmm.
doctor's visits, they're
Mm-hmm.
better socialized. They talk about how their health has improved. And so that's what we really try to lean into at Hannan is our creative arts programming. And we try to connect it up with our social work programming as well. We finished some renovations on our building back in 2020, just in time for the
Oh yeah.
pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and one of the things that we did in our building at that time was we renovated our fourth floor, and we established an older adult day program for people who are living with dementia.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only adult day program in the city of Detroit that is specializes with people with dementia. And not only do we work with them, but we also work with their caregivers as well. We provide as much support to the caregivers because you always hear the metaphor that about the airplane where the mask comes out, put your mask on first
First, that's
before
right.
you try to
Mm-hmm.
help somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're trying to do here is not only help the people who are living with dementia, but also their caregivers who really just need the respite. They need to be able to do other things in their
Right.
life and
Right.
sort of recharge so that they can be the best caregiver they can be for their loved one.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this, Vincent. You're talking as a professional caregiver yourself, because to know these things, you have to have been there, done that, or still in that. So all of us, including myself, who have been caregivers, we know there's resources out there, and sometimes we got it late ourselves, or we got it just in time. And that's one thing about Just Ask. We try to make sure people know about stuff just in time, even if they don't need it today. It doesn't mean you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to never need it. You don't need it today. And one thing about the day program is that some people are not sure how they should approach that. Well, do I bring my mom, or how can I secure that she's okay being there? Do you suggest or recommend that people come and visit first to see if it's a match for them? Or bring their loved one with them and see how they interact, because it kind of reminds me, and no offense, but it kind of reminds me of the first day of school. So when you bring kids to school, you want to make sure that they can see themselves fitting right in. And so do you recommend, or how do you go about encouraging people to say, hey, check us out to see to it if it's a match for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marcia. And first, let me say that I'm so glad that you've certainly had that caregiver experience because one of the big things that we find with caregivers is that they don't often know their caregivers, right? They say, "Oh, I'm not a caregiver. That's my mom. I'm just taking care of my mom, or that's my dad, or that's my spouse," right?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people think of caregivers as those who are paid. They don't realize that the vast majority of all caregiving in this country is done by family, family
Right.
members, essentially. In
Right.
most cases, it often ends up being women. But back to your question about sort of how do we go about doing this? So one of the things that we do offer is a 1 day sort of trial period. It's an opportunity for them to come in and get to know us and for us to get to know them because while we do serve people and their caregivers who are living with dementia, we may not be for everyone. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, we will not accept anyone that needs more than a one person assist. So they have to be able to do some things for themselves. But we also want to make certain too that we're what's called a social model. So we don't offer medical services here, but what we do offer is socialization.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring in nursing interns from time to time to work with them as well. But by and large, we want people to come in, get to know us, experience the program. They can sit and observe. They don't even have to bring their loved one. They could just
Right.
observe the people that are in there and see how are they doing. But I got to tell you too, I'm super proud and super crazy about my day program team. I mean, they really love what they do,
Great.
and they're our caregivers and the people that they're caring for also really love the people here as
That's
well.
great.
So
That's great.
yeah.
You got to have people who care. You got to have people who are compassionate. You got to have people who have patience. And patience is number one on my list. You got to have patience in order to relate, and be able to comfortably work with and support persons who are going through the changing of age or disabilities. You just got to have it or don't do it, because it's like if you're just in it for the paycheck, we can tell, and I do say we because we know, as those who've been caregivers and worked in certain capacities, we know when it's just a paycheck. But why would
Hmm.
you take that kind of job? And you got people's lives in the palm of your hand. So I'm just saying. Now I have some photos
Sure.
here that I wanted to go over, and I know that you had a exhibit or something. So who is this handsome gentleman here?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about this here. So, one of the other things that we do here, which I think I did mention, was we really lean into this idea of art being a way of improving one's health outcomes. And so, as part of our building renovations, we renovated our gallery. We have an art gallery that always exhibits either older adult artists or older adult themes. And so we more than doubled our gallery space. We renovated our lobby, and so we used that for exhibit space. And the restaurant that you fondly remember, we use that space as well for our gallery. Our
Okay.
current exhibit is called Strokes of Freedom, and the
Mm-hmm.
person that you showed there was his name is Richard
Let
Phillips,
me bring
and
Mr.
I don't
Phil.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, so and if you could just keep it up there a moment, because this is a very interesting story. But Richard Phillips was incarcerated for more than 46 years, and he was finally exonerated back in 2018, I believe. So he spent 46 years in prison for a crime he never committed. But how he maintained his sanity was he had a talent as an artist, and he began to hone his
Wow.
artistic skills while he was in prison. And he had to be very resourceful, and he had to be very persistent and persevere through so much. He told us how when he would try to paint on larger canvases
Mm-hmm.
and would leave them in the cell, how the guards would come in and destroy his artwork.
I,
So,
I, I mean, cut you off, but I just read the
no,
story about him not too long ago, and I saw,
yeah,
yeah, I saw him on the news and everything. And I was trying to figure out, I mean, that takes a lot to survive such, madness and something that you didn't do, and I saw his work. Matter of fact, actually, it was actually a program, featuring, Hanna Center. So yeah, you guys were just on the news not too long ago. I just saw that,
that's
and it was
right. Yeah,
it
because
was
we just
beautiful,
opened this past weekend.
beautiful,
Was when
beautiful.
the exhibit opened, and so it's going to be open until I think it's March 24th, roughly. We may extend it a little bit longer because we really think it's going to be a really popular exhibit. We're going to have an artist talk coming up, so definitely kind of go to our website, hannan.org. Look for announcements about what's going on in our
Okay.
calendar. But
Well, I'm gonna breeze
yeah,
through some of these pictures
yeah.
you guys have sent over to us. So now, what is this? I mean, this is so nice. What is this? What is this speech about?
So this is our annual event. This is where we recognize 70 people over the age of 70. We pick 10 winners in 7 different categories. And in each of those categories, we select an impact winner. And this is actually how I came to meet Richard Phillips.
This is
Was
so
that
nice.
someone had nominated him, and I had read his story in the paper, but someone nominated him to be one in the category of art, and he was our Impact Award winner. So
That.
that's how we came to meet him,
Well,
and we've been friends ever since. So
and
yeah, that's a picture of all of the winners from this 2022 70 over 70 awards banquet.
wow, that is beautiful. I see you in the center there. Okay, don't at the top. Yeah, I'm just scoping through, and I'm like, I know a couple of these faces. This is a very, very beautiful picture. Really, really, and I could tell that the turnout was great. I could
Oh
tell
yeah,
that the
we had a
turnout
really
was really
nice
good.
turnout.
You know, I had a piece of artwork that I wanted to show, and I wanted you to tell us a little bit about it. So these photos that I'm going to show, can you just give our viewers a little insight about these photos right here?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said earlier, we really try to infuse art into all of our programming. And so when we got the Richard Phillips exhibit up, we took some of our adult day program folks down so they can get a preview of the artwork. And then we took a copy of one of the pieces that Richard Phillips had developed, and we began working with the people in our day program to create their own artwork, sort of using Richard Phillips' piece as a as a platform for this. So this is what they ended up doing. This is
Wow.
actually quite cool that they were able to sort of build on some of the different designs and drawings that Richard Phillips had done.
That is really nice. You know, I mean, I hope people understand, especially those who are working with their loved ones with dementia. You know, you know that your loved one is in there, and so they get a chance to express themselves through the artwork, and that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I mean, I'm kind of choked up here because you know, services dealing with the elderly and the disabled touches me very much. And so definitely knowing that our seniors are our prized possession in life because they tell us about history to make sure that we know what to pass forward. And so the younger generations, they are getting some of it. Some of them are getting the message, and some of them are like, that's grandma, that's granddad, they don't know. But we paved the way to make
Hmm.
sure that they
Yeah.
have some things that they have. Is there anything that, you know, you want our viewers to know about you or Hanna Center that you want to share with us?
Well, it's funny. It's like I often do get choked up when I talk about the work that we do here because we're a society that treats older people as if, and I'm gonna put myself in this category, but we treat older people as if we are a cost. We're a drain on society, and children are an investment. So what you see happening is that when there are a lot of initiatives, a lot of fundraising that goes on, everyone gravitates towards children, but it doesn't have to be an either or because, people of any age have a lot still to contribute to their community. I told you earlier, Marcia, that my mom is 95, and um, we could not have made it through our careers, and raise our kids was it not for my mom sort of being there and picking them up from school. I mean, it may not seem like a lot, but I tell people that my kids never knew a babysitter. The only person that ever watched them was either us or my mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's the kind of longevity dividend that we have in our community. I'm certain that my mom's not the only one. You have grandmothers, grandfathers out there that are watching over, their grandkids while their children are, off at work and doing other things. And so we really, as a society, have to begin to appreciate our seniors.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I do want your listeners and viewers to do is, and this year when we do our next 70 over 70 nominations, I do hope that people will go to our website, look up our 70 over 70 program, and nominate somebody over the age of 70 that's been meaningful to you, that has done remarkable things and continues to do remarkable things in the community. So I
That's
do hope
great.
your viewers do sort of stay and go to our website, go to our Instagram page, all of that, and
Okay.
look us up, stay connected.
We'll definitely post that in our credit roll. Sorry we didn't have your website up there, but give that website out again.
It is www.hannan.org.
Okay. All right. So we did have the phone number up there. So people do have questions. They can definitely give you guys a call and, ask the questions that they need answered about having their loved ones involved in your program, which I think is very, excellent program to be involved in. So, like, ladies and gentlemen, you can always call us here at 1-800-323-5336. Twitter, Just Ask Talk Show. You know, you can leave me a message and I'll get it over to Mr. Tilford, I promise, okay? So anytime people have questions, if they don't see the guest, they can always give us a call or go to our website, and we're more than happy to share that information with our viewers. So definitely we want to keep you in the fold. So I'm going to ask you, like I asked everybody, will you come back and see me again?
Absolutely. This was too long. I know we've been trying for a while, but absolutely, I would love to come back again because we're kindred spirits. As I said, both of our moms having worked in nursing homes and
Yep.
taking care of them as caregivers. So absolutely, you're my sister here, and so I'd be happy to come back on.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to cry on the set. I'm not going to cry. I'm not gonna cry. But if most people only knew how long I've been after this guy, okay? And he finally said, okay. So I am most grateful and honored to have you. And I'm grateful that you have shared this moment with our viewers to learn more about Hanna Center. And we encourage people to give you guys a call and come by and see learn about some of the programs and resources. So it's hats off to you. And I'm going to make my business to come over there.
I would love to have you give you a tour and show you what we got going on here.
Okay, that'll work.
And come out to our Strokes of Freedom exhibit. This is an amazing exhibit. Okay, all right.
So hold one second for me, Vincent. Hold on.
Okay, all right.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now you know who I am. I'm your host, Marshall Florence, with Just Ask Talk Show, podcast live. You can always tune in on Wednesdays at 5:30 a.m. on PBS Channel 56, or catch the show on Comcast Detroit, Comcast Southfield. Go to our website and watch the show on Facebook. I always tell you that we like to bring resources to you. Without a doubt, this was a wonderful show today, as many others have you have seen. So if you have a question about a person with a disability, or you just have a general question, what do I always say? Don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. See you next time.